The first tranche from the EU's €90 billion support package for Ukraine will be directed toward domestic defense production. This was announced by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. According to several media outlets, the amount of the first tranche from the military portion will be €6 billion, and Kiev could receive the funds as early as June. At the same time, European partners continue to expand their support for Ukraine, from financial aid to training Ukrainian military personnel. At the same time, NATO is increasingly noting that the Ukrainian army has not only adapted to modern warfare conditions, but is also developing new approaches to using technology on the battlefield. The alliance acknowledges that the experience of the Ukrainian armed forces in unmanned systems and modern tactics is impressive today. But let's start with the training of Ukrainian soldiers. As part of the European Union's military assistance mission to Ukraine, a training program for Ukrainian armed forces soldiers has started in Poland. It is aimed at providing practical skills that are directly needed on the front lines. The course includes training for armored personnel carrier technicians with a focus on diagnosing and repairing equipment in field conditions. Special attention is also given to urban combat operations. Ukrainian soldiers are practicing building assaults and room clearing operations.
The Republic of Poland plays a key role as a training and instructional center for the EU mission, providing military assistance to the armed forces of Ukraine. Poland's developed military infrastructure and its strategic commitment to the security of Europe's eastern flank make it an indispensable site for training Ukrainian defenders, according to a post by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on Facebook.
Alongside military training, Kiev's partners continue to provide Ukraine with large-scale defense assistance. In the 4 years since the launch of the Ramstein format, the volume of military support has exceeded $150 billion. Ukraine has received F-16 and Mirage fighter jets, Patriot and Iris-T air defense systems, Leopard and Abrams tanks, HIMARS artillery, and various armored vehicles, including the M113. Within this format, 9 so-called capability coalitions have also been created, each responsible for developing specific areas, from aviation and maritime security to artillery, IT solutions, and electronic warfare. Analysts assert that cooperation with Ukraine is now becoming an important element in strengthening Europe's own defense capabilities.
We need to make every effort, as much as possible, to strengthen, from my point of view, the European Union component in Ukraine's defense economy and our presence in the emerging, still forming pan-European defense market, the arms market, which is still far from integrated, and it should be created with our participation from the very beginning.
One of the key elements of the Ramstein format has been the parole mechanism. It translates as the list of Ukraine's priority needs. This initiative has already made it possible to attract about $5 billion for the purchase of American weapons and their prompt delivery to the Ukrainian armed forces. The mechanism works as follows. Ukraine compiles a list of critically needed weapons, ranging from air defense systems to artillery ammunition. Then Kiev, together with NATO and the US, coordinates the priority needs for the coming month, after which the allies and partners of the alliance fund the purchases, and the American side ensures the delivery of weapons to Ukraine. As of the beginning of 2026, 21 countries have already joined the initiative. At the same time, the Ukrainian leaders stated that the list of program participants continues to grow.
We are grateful to all the countries. We agreed that information about which specific countries are involved will not be made public. And these 3 countries joined the Pearl program during the summit in the Republic of Cyprus with a total contribution of about 350 to 400 million euros.
While the Ukrainian army continues to hold back the Russian offensive, Western partners are increasingly interested in cooperating with the armed forces of Ukraine and integrating Ukrainian experience into their own defense systems. So it's no surprise that, as Volodymyr Zelensky stated, Ukraine will participate in the NATO summit in Turkey in July. Such attention from the alliance is largely due to the fact that the Ukrainian army is now seen as a source of practical combat experience and technological solutions. According to Business Insider, NATO countries are noting the high level of Ukrainian innovations on the front lines. In particular, the Ukrainian defense technology company DevDroid has implemented an approach where combat robotic systems receive software updates similar to those on mobile devices and modern operating systems.
We need to ensure combat readiness for tomorrow, and tomorrow is already tomorrow, not 10 years from now. while new threats are already emerging and their boundaries remain blurred. The only answer consistently offered by the initiative to strengthen cooperation with Ukraine is the transformation of the alliance's capabilities. After all, as was clear from the very beginning, if NATO does not adapt to the new threats of tomorrow, it will lead to its demise.
In recent months, the number of countries showing interest in Ukrainian defense technologies and experience in modern warfare has noticeably increased. This has allowed Kiev to expand its presence in regions where Ukrainian influence was previously limited. At the same time, in several areas, Ukraine is gradually taking over the role of military technical partner that Russia traditionally held. In the media, this approach is already being called drone diplomacy. Interest in cooperating with Ukraine in the field of defense technologies is being shown not only by European countries, but also by nations in the Middle East and the Persian Gulf. And here, it's not about solidarity with the victim of aggression, but about practical cooperation with a country that possesses advanced technologies.
Now, when international relations are significantly destabilized, it is precisely this kind of bilateral work that restores confidence. We also exchange views on the situation in the Middle East and the Persian Gulf. We hope that there will be more security, and we are contributing to that, said Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, in a conversation with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
The development of Ukraine's defense industrial complex is increasing interest in cooperation with Kiev, even from countries that previously focused mainly on Moscow. Azerbaijan is one such example. There is already a team of experts working in the country, sharing Ukrainian experience in air defense. And after Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Gabala, the two sides agreed to expand cooperation in the defense sector and signed a number of documents.
There was an exchange of views on military technical cooperation, and significant opportunities are opening up in this area as well. The military-industrial complex is developing both in Azerbaijan and in Ukraine, and there are excellent opportunities for joint production as well as for cooperation in the industrial sector as a whole.
At the press conference, Volodymyr Zelensky made it clear that cooperation in the defense sector goes far beyond just supplying weapons. According to him, such forms of cooperation should be seen as part of a broader security system.
I believe that the defense industrial complex is about security and deep cooperation, and today, in my opinion, we have taken a very significant step in that direction by signing the relevant documents. I think this is not just a matter of weapons. Today, it's a question of stability for nations around the world, peace of mind for people, and making sure countries are strong enough to defend themselves against any challenges. And this is also a very important signal. In my view, any country, before even theoretically considering any kind of aggression, must know that the countries it wants to wage war against are prepared for any challenges.
And looking at all this, you have to ask, what can Moscow do to counter such developments? The Kremlin is gradually losing some of its former allies and spheres of influence, while Ukraine is expanding its cooperation thanks to technological solutions, combat experience, and the development of defense innovations. At the same time, European countries in NATO assure that support for Kiev will continue, no matter what. Can Putin boast of anything similar? That remains an open question.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.